You're listening to Tom
and Katie
on the Tom Talk podcast. Let's chop it up. What's good, everybody? It's your boy Tom
and Katie.
And today we're going to do things a little bit differently. I want to share a testimony of the faithfulness of God in our life. I believe that it's a duty, but more of a privilege for us to be able to share what God has done in our life, because it not only helps us to remember, but it helps us to build the faith of other people. But first, I have a funny story.
Do you?
I needed to go to Walmart yesterday. And I remember asking you.
I do not like going to Walmart.
I was asking you, I was like, will you go with me? And you're like, I really don't want to go.
Yeah,
and I was
never want to go to Walmart.
And so I was like, what about Target? And you were like, I don't really want to go. And I was like, what if I buy you something?
Yeah.
And you were like,
It intrigued me.
And so I needed to go to buy some stuff for, I'm basically trying to get tax stuff together, which you'll understand a little bit later in the episode why I had to go.
Okay.
Not you.
Well,
I'm talking about the people.
I know who you're talking about.
But as we went there, I just really wanted Katie to go with me because I think everybody kind of goes through that. They're like, man, like I just want my person to go with me. So, but we went, we hung out, got to go to Walmart, and I got a little binder. I felt like I was back in high school. So, but
I did get a pair of like little shorts, like lounge.
Really soft too.
They're super soft, and a sweatshirt.
And then when we were eating dinner, you spilled something on it already.
I'm kind of mad about it, but it's okay.
Yeah. So to get into our subject, when we share testimonies about what God has done in each of our lives, it builds faith in others because they can see the hand of God at work. So we should declare his works to one another. Let's chop it up.
Let's chop it up.
So Psalms 145, 5-6 tells us, one generation shall praise your works to another and shall declare your mighty and remarkable acts. On the glorious splendor of your majesty and on your wondrous works I will meditate. People will speak of the power of your awesome acts, and with gratitude and submissive wonder I will tell of your greatness. Which we should be expressing what God does.
Yeah.
Like, because it is remarkable what he does in our life. And if anybody's ever had a testimony of something that God's done, it leaves you in awe and wonder. You're just like, wow, like, man, God is real. He really opened the door for me here. And Hebrews 10:24-25 tells us to let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another all the more as you see the day approaching. So I believe that testimonies are something that not only help us to build our faith, but build faith in other people, because God is not partial. Like, he doesn't have favorites. He treats everybody the same. So in episode 1, Katie and I shared some of our story and how we were going through a financial trial and how God helped us get through Christmas. I believe that's whenever we were talking about that. So during that time, we were praying a lot about getting out of the situation we were in, asking God to open the door of blessing for us. And I would pray that God would send us a check in the mail, because he's literally done that before.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And I was just like, it just blew my mind. But I wanted him to send a check so we could get out of debt. And I remember one time we were praying, and Katie was praying, and she said, God, I pray that you give us wealth so we could pay off bills. And in that moment, I felt this check in my spirit, and I was like, something just doesn't feel right about that prayer. And not that she was praying for something that's like, not like, because we had been praying for God to help us to be able to get out of debt, but it just something checked my spirit. And then I've learned that over time, like anytime that I'm going through something, I need to ask God for wisdom when things don't seem to be working out because I'm not seeing something properly, right? Mm-hmm. So James 1:5-6 tells us, if any of you lacks wisdom to guide him through a decision or circumstance, he is to ask of our benevolent God, who gives to everyone generously and without rebuke or blame, and it will be given to him. But he must ask for wisdom in faith without doubting God's willingness to help. For the one who doubts is like a billowing surge on the sea that is blown about and tossed by the wind. So I began to ponder on why I felt that check in my spirit, and I knew I had been missing something. I was like, man, like something's off with this. And I felt the Holy Spirit was leading me to different passages in the Word. So I remember Proverbs 13:11 says, wealth from get-rich-quick schemes quickly disappears. Wealth from hard work grows over time. So I was like, that's interesting, because in a sense, we were asking God to just drop money in our pocket, you know? But God is sitting here telling us wealth from hard work grows over time. And I was like, man, like something is different here, you know? Mm-hmm. And so Proverbs 30:7-9 says, "O God, I beg two favors from you. Let me have them before I die. First, help me never to tell a lie. Second, give me neither poverty nor riches. Give me just enough to satisfy my needs. For if I grow rich, I may deny you and say, 'Who is the Lord?' And if I am too poor, I may steal and thus insult God's holy name." So I knew that my thinking was off. And instead of asking God for a check, I began to ask God for wisdom and favor to find a job that I could work to enable me to generate more income. And I think we had been talking through it, trying to figure out a way. I know we sat down, we budgeted, and we were looking over our finances. And I was like, we got to do something here. And so I was at work one day and I started to think about debt consolidation, which, if nobody knows about that, basically you take out one loan to cover all the other loans that you may have. Mm-hmm. And at this time, you know, we had like a personal loan that we had taken out to buy a car for me. Yeah. Because your car was, we kept sinking money into that thing, and it was just like, we were tired of putting money into it. Yeah. And so I ended up giving Katie my car that I had bought, and then I went and bought what I call a putt-putt. So it's just like a little putt-putt, little putt-putt that gets around. So it's just something that gets around town. Mm-hmm. But I started thinking about debt consolidation, and as I looked into it, I reached out to my credit union. I said, hey, can y'all do this? And they said, yeah, we could do that. So we ended up getting this debt consolidation loan, which basically we were able to more than double the amount of money we would have each month by consolidating everything into one loan. Mm-hmm. And then we would be able to pay it off twice as fast than we would if we were trying to pay off the loans that we had. Mm-hmm. And so even though that we had this consolidation loan, it definitely took a big weight off of us, and God had given us wisdom to get us to a place where we could begin to dig out of the hole that we were in. Even though we were still in debt, we were in a better position to start paying it down quicker. Yeah. Which it was just a move that helped us to
kind of get ahead.
Yeah. And to take that weight off, because it can be frustrating, as we're about to talk about, whenever it comes to dealing with money, especially in like marriage, but you have to work through it together. We say this to each other a lot. So we're not enemies, we're friends, we're partners, and we're in this together. Yeah. So the enemy would want us to look at each other as an enemy and be at odds with each other, but we have to realize we are one.
Yeah.
You know?
We're fighting for the same
Yeah.
thing.
And so I started to think of these different verses. Proverbs 3:13 through 20 tells us, joyful is the person who finds wisdom, the one who gains understanding. For wisdom is more profitable than silver, and her wages are better than gold. Wisdom is more precious than rubies. Nothing you desire can compare with her. She offers you long life in her right hand and riches and honor in her left. She will guide you down delightful paths. All her ways are satisfying. Wisdom is a tree of life to those who embrace her. Happy are those who hold her tightly. By wisdom the Lord founded the earth. By understanding he created the heavens. By his knowledge the deep fountains of the earth burst forth, and the dew settles beneath the night sky. So I could clearly see wisdom, as it says, is more profitable than silver, and wages are better than gold. And so whenever we had asked God for help in this, it made me appreciate God more to seek him for wisdom than to seek him to like drop money in our lap, because it helps us to stick to a budget and to make better decisions with our money, to be a good steward of what God has given to us. And being able to steward what God gives to us with a budget helps us out in the future, not only like whenever we're looking at things, because like we broke our budget down to the point where every dollar has a home.
Yeah.
Like every dollar.
Yeah, and we're trying to keep it updated
Yeah.
as much as possible.
And so we're able to go through that. We have we try to do like weekly meetings. We get together with each other and we talk about our budget. We talk about, the plans that we have, different things. And I'm much more appreciative of having to do that than for God just to answer that prayer and drop a bunch of money in our lap, because it doesn't do anything for you. It's building character in us as we're going through this issue.
It's teaching you.
Yeah. So that was amazing, but it does get better. So we're going to get a little vulnerable here.
Oh, no.
So one night, Katie and I had gotten into a pretty heated discussion about finances. And she was telling me all that she's doing to try and earn money. And she's getting her master's, working after school to get extra money. And as our conversation went on, I started to feel like she was attacking me.
Yeah.
Where you said that you were feeling unappreciated for what you had done. And we didn't communicate that in the moment. Well, we did later.
Yeah, we
talked about it. We forgave each other. But it was just a very heated discussion.
Yeah.
But in that moment, it led me to start looking for a part-time job, because I was like, you know what? Forget this. Like, you want to be mad about money? Like, I'm going to get another job, And so I start scouring Indeed. I'm looking at LinkedIn and all. I'm looking for a job, right? And everything that I was looking at was either something that was like third shift, which wouldn't have helped.
No.
Because I wouldn't have gotten any sleep, or it was something where I'd have to be there while I was still at my full-time job.
Yeah.
And so I was like, what am I going to do, man? And I'm sitting here like just looking for something. And then I get this, I seen this ad for DoorDash, and I was like, this could work. And I was like, I've never done DoorDash. And so I signed up for it, and I got accepted in or whatever, go through their stuff. And I started looking at the app, and then I found out you have to schedule times for you to work. And I was like, oh, here we go. I was like, this isn't going to work for me, because these are times that I'm not able to really do this and to be efficient. And so you had been talking to your mom, and she told you about Uber. And then you ended up telling me about it, and I was like, all right, well, let me check that out. So I download Uber, and I was like, buddy, this is it. It lets you go in and you can basically anytime you want to go Uber, you get in the app, hit
Yeah.
go, and go.
I would say it's been more flexible.
Oh, it's definitely more flexible. Definitely. And so I start to do Uber. I start doing Uber Eats, which is basically like
Just
DoorDash.
food, yeah.
Yeah. But like I said, I'm able to make more, or not make more, but I do make more, but I don't have to schedule my time.
Yeah.
So I remember I had scheduled something for DoorDash, and I was waiting for like 20 minutes or so, and I'm like, man, ain't nothing coming through. So I turned Uber on, and like within 10 minutes, I get a hit,
order.
and I was like, all right, I'm quitting my my DoorDash thing. So I exited out of the DoorDash app, and I started hitting Uber. But as I started to go through Uber, they have different things that they offer to be able to make more money. So you have Uber Eats, which is what I was doing. You have Uber Pickup. They have a courier service, and then you have the ride share, which I like to call delivering people, which is you pick them up and take them. Okay.
Is that not the same as Uber pickup?
No, Uber Pickup is like whenever you go get groceries from like a store or something.
I thought Uber pickup was like the ride share, I guess.
No, ride share is
that makes sense.
Yeah, picking people up or delivering people. You totally missed my joke again.
Sorry.
We gotta work on this, babe.
Yeah.
But it made me feel like overjoyed because God had answered my consistent prayer and He gave us wisdom and favor to help us out. And I was like, man, like this is amazing, So I started thinking. I think about the Matthew 7:9-11. It says, or what man is there among you who, if a son asks for bread, will instead give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, will instead give him a snake? Mm-hmm. If you then, evil, sinful by nature, as you are, know how to give good and what is that word? Advantageous gifts to your children. Thank you.
You're welcome.
How much more will your Father who is in heaven, perfect as He is, give what is good and
advantageous
to those who keep on asking Him? And I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Because it's not that we weren't praying for help. It's just what we were asking for. And so God did not answer by sending a quote unquote check in the mail.
To be fair though, when I was praying that, like I was thinking more long term and not just like right now scenario.
For sure. But, well, I understand that. I'm not trying to put you down on it. So if how it came across, I'm not how I meant it. But just being able to our character to be built up, because like I said, if a check would have hit the mailbox, I don't think we would have made the budget.
We probably would have made some, like, not that they would be bad decisions, but like we would have probably spent it on other things than what we actually needed to, if that makes sense. Because
being in a place of like, oh man, like, well, we can't go out with our friends right now because we don't have the money. Mm-hmm. It makes you start thinking, okay, do I really need this coffee or tea from, or a bagel from the store?
The little things.
And it's just like, I need to rethink how I'm doing this.
Which really, that's what got us, I think, is just those little things throughout the day.
And so God giving us wisdom on not only things that we needed to change, it definitely helped us to put together the budget, something we can stick to. Mm-hmm. And now He's not only opened a door for the wisdom in that, but He's opened a door of blessing to where I can work and be able to make decent money. Mm-hmm. And it's not only helping me with the budget, but now I have to know taxes because it's like a 1099 position. So they don't take taxes out for you. You have to deal with that.
Do it yourself.
Yeah. So it's helping me to gain better knowledge because we do have some aspirations and dreams and things that we believe God's put in our heart. And this lines right up with that. Mm-hmm. And we're basically practicing what I believe will be happening in the future.
So exciting.
Yeah. So what I found amazing with Uber is it was better than what I thought it would be.
I think it was better than what we both thought.
Yeah.
Thought it would be.
So I started this game with Katie, and I love doing this. So I'll purposely not look at what I make until about an hour after I get home, because you have to wait an hour for your tips to show up. So I'll get home, we'll hang out for a little bit, and then I'll pull my phone up and we'll look at what I made.
Yeah.
And I remember this was Thursday night. I came home and I had been going. I was like, yo,
you were on it that day.
We were going through it. I was like, man, they're getting all these tips, and I'm getting a bunch of orders. So I get home, and I think the most I had made previously, I'd worked, maybe made $40 or $50. Mm-hmm. And so I'm thinking, I probably made $40 tonight.
Yeah.
And I pull up the app, and it was $92.
It was crazy.
I said,
was like, what?
I was genuinely shocked. I was like, I made $92 tonight.
And how many hours was that?
Maybe I think it was 4 hours and 40 minutes.
Yeah,
is what I was on the clock for. And I was like, man, this is great, because now this is better than playing bingo trying to win money.
Stop.
And so, I'm like, I can actually do this, and this is profitable. This is something that helps us. And so I was like, I'm going to try to challenge myself. So Friday night, I go out and I start taking deliveries. And at this time, I had signed up for rideshare because I was only doing Uber Eats. So I do rideshare, get home, we check it again, $131. And I was like,
crazy.
Buddy, we are on. And I was like, this is the one.
It started becoming kind of like I don't want to say competition, but kind of like you're competing against yourself.
Yeah, you're just like, man, you're challenging yourself.
Yeah.
And what I love about this was, so in high school, I delivered for Pizza Hut and at one time Papa John's, but basically I delivered pizza through high school. And I loved doing that. I love driving. It helps me to
kind of like your, I don't want to say happy spot, but it helps you
well, it is
think through stuff.
Yeah, just driving is fun for me, especially.
It's kind of like some guys go to the gym, to just get their thoughts out without their women there, but you like to drive.
Yeah, driving is something that I enjoy, and so I can I turn on his radio, and because I need my phone for work, so I'll just turn the radio on, and I'll sit there, I'll pray or talk to God, I'll get ideas or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm able to make money doing this, which it's just like a win-win everywhere.
Yeah.
And I was just like, God, man, this is great. And I started thinking about Ephesians 3:20. It says, now to him who is able to carry out his purpose and to do super abundantly more than all that we dare ask or think, infinitely beyond our greatest prayers, hopes, or dreams, according to his power that is at work within us. And I know that this may not seem like a lot, but asking God to help us, it's helping me to build my character. And when we ask the right things and pray the right motives, pray with the right motives, that will produce something in us that God wants. He wants us to be changed, and he rewards us whenever we're being faithful.
Yeah.
And so
it also makes us more appreciative.
Yeah. Because he's answering a prayer of our heart. He took a load off of our back.
Yeah.
My
it was
goodness.
Really Tom, you mentioned, we did end up having some heated discussions about it, and you could really see it weighing on all aspects of our life.
Yeah. And I even prayed about it. It's just God, I need help with this, because I said, Katie's upset. and I don't want her to be upset. And me, I want to fix something because I don't like it whenever things don't seem to be in order. And also something, a side note, what God has been teaching me through that is you don't always have to just fix something. Sometimes you just need to go through it with that person. Not saying you need to neglect if there's an issue, but it's not always about, well, let's just make it right so you feel better. Sometimes you just need to grow through those times and learn from those times, and don't take it for granted. Like, learn what you need to learn through those times because it does help you in the future and how to navigate life.
Yeah.
So I think about, like I said, with the motives of our heart, we need to, I believe it's important for us to understand how God wants to be involved in our everyday lives, and that when we ask him something, that with the right motives, that he will answer us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So James 4, verses 1 through 10, it's labeled drawing close to God. So it's a little lengthy, but I want to read it because it definitely helps to enlighten this. It says, "What is causing the quarrels and fights among you? Do they not come from the evil desires at war within you? You want what you don't have, so you scheme and kill to get it. You are jealous of what others have, but you can't get it, so you fight and wage war to take it away from them. Yet you don't have what you want because you don't ask God for it. And even when you ask God, you don't get it because your motives are all wrong. You want only what will give you pleasure." And I was like, man, that's convicting. Because
it's kind of true.
yeah,
Like,
you want something that's going to give you pleasure and you're asking God for it, but he's not going to give that to you because you want to spend it on yourself.
yeah.
But whenever you're asking with the right motive, is like, Lord, there's something wrong with me. Not wrong with me, but there's something wrong in my heart that needs to be changed. And you're asking with the right motive, and that's building your character.
Yeah.
So he goes on, verse 4 says, "You adulterers, don't you realize that friendship with the world makes you an enemy of God? I say it again, if you want to be a friend of the world, you make yourself an enemy of God. Do you think the scripture has no meaning? They say that God is passionate, that the spirit he has placed within us should be faithful to him, and he gives grace generously, as the scripture says, God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble." Now, I love this right here. "So humble yourself before God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Come close to God, and God will come close to you. Wash your hands, you sinners. Purify your hearts, for your loyalty is divided between God and the world. Let there be tears for what you have done. Let there be sorrow and deep grief. Let there be sadness instead of laughter and gloom instead of joy. Humble yourself before the Lord, and he will lift you up in honor." And when I read this verse, it helps me to examine my heart and to ask God to help me change how I pray. And I believe God is more into developing our character than delivering us from something because we don't like the situation we find ourselves in. I believe in for most of what we don't see, he has a bigger purpose, and we can learn a lot through the trials because they squeeze us, and the situations we face have a way of bringing out what was already there.
Yeah.
Either the good or the bad or whatever. When you're squeezed, just like that, what's it? You squeeze an orange juice comes out.
Yeah.
You know?
It would be concerning if lemon juice came out.
Yeah, but like if you squeeze an orange and then like rottenness comes out of it,
Yeah.
or like bugs or whatever, like whenever you're squeezed as a person, what's in your heart, what's in your your thoughts, your everything, when you're squeezed with these trials and tribulations, whatever's in you is already in you and comes out. Now you can see it. God, I shouldn't have said that to them, or whatever you're going through. But so you see these things and you say, Lord, this needs to change. And that's how I felt whenever I was praying for God to give us all this money or drop a check in our lap. This isn't right. This isn't a right way to pray. And so God started to help me to understand He wants to develop our character to be better stewards of what we have. And then he blessed us in that to not only work for money, but made it easier for us to build that around our schedules, because I can work and still pursue the podcast and my music.
Have time for everything.
And have time with you.
Need,
yeah. And now we have the ability to save up for our anniversary or,
some future trips.
Yeah. And so these things are blessings that God opens a door for, and it's more abundant than I thought would be.
Yeah.
Because legit, I was like, man, I can make $40-$50 a night.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking I might make $150, and I'm making almost double that in a week.
Now we're not making millions yet, but
yeah,
it might be coming. You never know.
yeah. So the thing is that the Lord had opened a door of blessing and favor upon us, which I think was amazing. And so when I think about that, whenever you're squeezed, whatever situations you are facing, they have a way to bring out what's already there. So I think about James 1:2-3. It says, "Dear brothers and sisters, when troubles of any kind come your way, consider it an opportunity for great joy. For you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. So let it grow. For when your endurance is fully developed, you will be perfect and complete, needing nothing." And I believe it would benefit us to stay humble and let our endurance grow.
Yeah. And I think that's challenging, for most of us, building that endurance.
Yeah, it is. Because we don't like going through stuff that challenges us. But if we change our mindset on it to say, man, God's trying to produce something in me that's going to make me a better person, that's going to make me somebody who is a kingdom-minded person, and he wants to, he is so active in our life. We have no idea how active God is in our life.
Yeah.
He knows the end from the beginning from the end. He knows every step. He knows every thought. He knows every single aspect. He delights in our life.
Yeah.
He loves us. And so if you are finding it hard to go through things, if you're finding that the way that you pray, or you're praying about something and you're not getting what you're praying for, we need to humble ourselves. We need to check our motives and say, God, am I praying this wrong? And asking him that. We can go to the word and find that.
Yeah.
And there's a beautiful promise in Hebrews 4. It's Hebrews 4:16. It says, "Therefore let us with privilege approach the throne of grace," that is the throne of God's God's gracious favor, "with confidence and without fear, so that we may receive mercy for our failures and find his amazing grace to help us in time of need, an appropriate blessing coming just at the right moment." That's from the Amplified. We have access to the God who created everything.
Yeah.
If you're a believer in Jesus Christ, if you have put your faith and trust in him, if you have repented of your sin and turned to him, and you follow him, he says that my sheep hear my voice and they follow me. Now, I'm not talking to somebody who says they believe in Jesus but live how they want to. That's deception. We live for a king, and we obey the king. We follow him. We love his commandments because he has transformed our lives through his Holy Spirit. For those, we have the ability, the privilege to come to his glorious, gracious throne and say, Lord, I need help. And if you are finding yourself in a place where you've been rebellious or have turned away from him, the prodigal son came to his senses when he was out feeding pigs, thinking about eating the slop. He's like, I'm going to go back to my dad. At least I can work for him.
Yeah.
But when he came back, it says that his father girded his loins and he ran undignified to go to his son because he's seen his son from afar off. God's waiting for you. So if you, in any situation you find yourself in, there is grace for you, but you need to humble yourself. submit yourself to God, and let him change your heart. And so we wanted to share this testimony because it amazes me how God has been transforming our lives. And even in whenever we're praying the wrong thing, that he can still work it out to say, hey, we need to change this. And we obey and we say, okay, God, let me change how I'm praying this. And we start asking for wisdom and opportunities to be able to, make money in this specific situation. But he answered, and he answered abundantly more than we asked.
Mm-hmm.
And
it wasn't in the expected way.
Yeah. And I look for, I'm ready to go drive. I'm ready, but I know we got other things that
if y'all need a ride,
we're doing. Yeah.
Let us know.
So, I think I'll do this. If you are interested in Uber, I'll put a link in our comments and you can go check that out. Also, there is an app that I found called Upside. Yes. This is not a plug for them.
This is just from our daily life. Yeah.
Because you find gas at whatever station they suggest to you. You can get cash back on it. Yeah. And I'm finding all these little things that can add up over time. And so I'll put that in the comments as well, because I think that will help our people. Yeah. So I definitely want to do that. But so in summary, our testimonies are powerful because they glorify God through his work in our life, and we're encouraged to spur each other on to love and good works and to encourage one another. We should ask for wisdom when we're going through various trials. We should stay humble before God and let him build us up. So in the comments, we'd like to hear from you. What are testimonies that God has done? How is God working in your life? Mm-hmm. What are things that he's done? Encourage us. Let other people hear about what the Lord is doing in your life, because we need that.
Yeah.
There could be somebody going through something similar to what we're going through, or something similar to what you're going through, that can encourage them and build them up and build their faith to go after God even more. Mm-hmm. So let's hear in the comments. So
yeah, we want to hear.
Definitely excited about reading those. So until next time, this is Tom
and Katie
on the Tom Talk podcast. Peace out. We love y'all.